Demon Slayer. Depending on who you talk to, they either love it or they hate it. Some people think that it's a very low and basic anime with not a lot of depth to it, and some people think that it's the greatest anime to ever exist. I am not of either camp. I think that it's a really, really good anime, but I don't think it's the best ever. It's not even in my top 10. Maybe it's in my top 25, but I can't tell you for sure. But I will tell you what Demon Slayer does right. But before I tell you that, my name is The Casual Brian, and I do videos about anime, my opinion, my perspective, and in-depth dives into what I think about current anime. So if you like that kind of stuff, like this video, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. So the first thing that Demon Slayer does well is the MC. Tanjiro is a great MC. And the main reason why is empathy. Not only is he caring and compassionate about his family and his friends, he's also compassionate about the demons that he has to kill. He doesn't actually want to kill them, but he has to kill them. And it's kind of in the title, Demon Slayer. So he wouldn't be much of a demon slayer if he didn't slay demons. That being said, he always finds a way to do it and put them at peace. And this is because Tanjiro is an empathetic person. And that's why it's easy to root for him. Another thing about Tanjiro that makes him a good MC is he's not overpowered. He's extremely powerful and he's a very fast learner, but he has to work really hard. He's kind of like a Deku kind of blended in with Naruto. He's not as slow as Deku, but he's not quite as fast as Naruto when it comes to the progression of their skills and their abilities. I love Tanjiro. I love that he's not willing to compromise his morals and go against what he believes in. And I believe it carries out all the way through. He's not willing to abandon Netsuko. He has a dream. He wants to change her back. And he fights in his own style. And so I think a lot of people really are drawn to Tanjiro. He has an innocence to him. He has something about him that makes you want to believe in him and want you to see him do well, be successful. And in addition to that, he's awesome. He has an amazing fighting style, and every time he fights, it's absolutely beautiful to watch. The second thing I think Demon Slayer does well is the pacing. Now, I'm not entirely in love with the pacing as far as they start very slow and then they ramp up and ramp up and ramp up, and then by the end they're just going crazy. At the same time, the pacing is much better than older anime that we used to watch. I think the pacing is kind of something that they figured out nowadays. Back in the day, they used to have terrible pacing. I'm talking about animes like Dragon Ball Z. I'm talking about animes even like One Piece, which has currently improved this pacing, but is still working from the source material, so they can only change so much. Modern anime has really good pacing, in my opinion. Some might say that the pacing is a little too fast and it robs the anime of having depth, but I think the pacing is good, and I think Demon Slayer really nails the pacing. We get to know everyone's backstory, or at least enough about each person's backstory to actually care. We get to see the development, the growth, but it doesn't feel like it's drawing on. So for me, another thing that Demon Slayer does really well is their pacing. Third thing that Demon Slayer does really well, and I think this is probably a common thing that if you talk to most people, they will agree with, is the animation. The animation in Demon Slayer is absolutely gorgeous. I don't even really understand how anybody can deny this. I mean, the color, the design, the way that it flows, it's just beautiful. It's beautifully done, and it's just a joy to watch. I was absolutely drawn in to Demon Slayer from the first episode because of how beautiful the animation was. It's almost a joke because the manga is very crude and very rough, almost like a webtoon. But then when you contrast that with the animation, it's amazing. The animation is so good, and it takes the material to another level. I can't, in fact, being honest, Studio Mappa is doing a great job with like a lot of new titles, and some of their animation is similar or close. But for me, Demon Slayer probably has the best animation out of new gen. Jujutsu Kaisen has some great animation. Chainsaw Man, all of the Dark Trio has great animation, and there's a lot of stuff out there nowadays in new animation that has great animation. But still, I think Demon Slayer stands leagues above all the other animation. It's just so beautifully done. It flows so well. The fourth thing that Demon Slayer does really well is the music. Now, this is something I feel particularly qualified to talk about, as I am a composer myself. Demon Slayer has amazing music, and not just music, but soundtracks, the sounds that they use, like just the first thing that they use in like the title, the child sound, that I'll find it. That sound right there, that sound is beautiful, and the soundtrack is amazing, and it really, really adds to the animation. The Demon Slayer soundtrack is so amazing in that it enhances each scene, and it enhances the emotion that you feel. Let's take, for example, the scene where the Fire Hashira fights against the third upper moon. And the climax of that is just done so well. And any climax to any fight is just done amazing. You can pick whichever fight you want. The climax of these fights is so strengthened, is so elevated by the music. The music is done beautifully. It's absolutely amazing. Fifth and final thing that makes Demon Slayer amazing is the fights. Now, this can be kind of connected to the animation, but for me, the fights are choreographed and done so amazing, so beautifully done. There's just a flow. It's almost like a dance. You're building up such an amazing tension, and you really don't understand how it's going to win. The stakes keep rising. People lose arms. People lose heads. It's crazy because we don't fully understand the extent of each person's power until the finale, until the end of the fight, and then we see everybody lay it on the table. But the whole time they're showing new powers, new skills, and they're pushing themselves beyond the limits, and it's being done with amazing animation. The fights in Demon Slayer are some of the best fights in all of anime. Now, I know I might get pushback on that. Some people might say, well, you're being overly influenced by the animation. That might be true. But I think that you can't discount the fact that when you combine the animation, when you combine the fights and the choreography and the way that the fights actually flow, it makes for amazing fights. And it's such a high level of production, it's hard to compare it to other anime. That's my opinion. Those are the reasons that I think Demon Slayer is one of the best animes that we currently have. Those are the things that I think Demon Slayer does right. Feel free to let me know how you feel in the comments. I know a lot of people don't think Demon Slayer is that good, but I do plan on making a video explaining the things that I don't like about Demon Slayer. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and follow so that you can see the next video of the things that Demon Slayer does wrong. Until the next time, peace.